Welcome, everyone. This is Recovery Dharma. My name is Julia. I'm one of the facilitators in the Spokane Sangha, and it is such a joy to practice with you today. Happy Friday the 13th, an auspicious day. Friday the 13th, as many of you may know, is considered a dark omen. It's a dark day. If you have a suspicious mind, that might feel that way, but Friday the 13th actually has more ancient roots than that. And it is a day that was celebrated in the spirit of the sacred feminine that is within all of us. And the sacred feminine in this regard speaks to the rhythm and cycle of life. The rhythm and cycles of life. And we can draw awareness from the rhythm and cycle of life if we live in places that have seasons, if we pay attention to the dawn and the twilight, the rising, the setting sun, or if you have an affinity and a connection to the waxing, waning, full cycles of the moon. These are all cyclical, rhythmic happenings, events that we can see in nature that are intimately connected with the nature of ourselves, and many of us have forgotten. So I'd like to set the intention of our practice today to just close your eyes for just a moment. And the sentiment that's coming alive for me is, may I awaken to the rhythms of life alive in me. May I awaken to the rhythms of life alive in me. Friends, Friday the 13th is a day of celebration of these rhythms, and may you have the courage to bring them into your life in fullness. We begin our meditation today and our reflection by reminding community members that for the month of February, we are exploring the second noble truth. The noble truths are the foundation of the Buddhist practice. It is said that this was the first teaching of the Buddha. This was his very first sutra. The first noble truth traditionally is there is suffering. We are reimagining that to include these synonyms. There is discomfort. And there is also comfort. And why I have decided to bring that dual nature is for this very reason. In my life experience, sometimes the things that are uncomfortable to me become familiar, and they become kind of like faithful companions, and they're hard to drop. So they, in my discomfort and in that familiarity, they have kind of a comfort to them. That's an interesting paradox, isn't it? Likewise, I have discomforts in my life, frustrations, irritations that I just want to run away from. I'm so irritated and I'm like, oh, I'm so done with this. And one of my habit energies, one of my escape hatches is candy, sugar, cake. The minute I get twitchy and uncomfortable, I'm like, ooh, cake would fix this. Oh gosh. And it does temporarily. And then the discomfort is there. And usually more, because then I'm like, oh, I can't believe I ate cake and rah, rah, rah. Likewise, there's that comfort piece of it. So in my discomfort, I go to my comfort. I'm trying to escape from my discomfort, so I go to my comfort zone, cake. And it's soothing for a second, and then it's not. then it becomes uncomfortable. And then I berate myself for returning to habit energy. And then I don't really feel good in my body. And then all the stories and the narratives come. So my comfort then becomes a source of discomfort. So the first noble truth in my lived experience includes the bothness of this in my evaluation and in my exploration. Furthermore, it invites me to acknowledge this in a very real and authentic way. When I go to my habit energy for soothing, for escape, it is comforting and I let it be so. And I have to recognize that embedded in that comfort is also some discomfort. What is that about? Likewise, when I'm uncomfortable, I have to be fearless and ask the question, Julia, is this one of those comforting discomforts? Are we cycling through that again? Would you look at that? Then we come to the second noble truth, which is what we're here to explore today. And that is there are causes and conditions to this discomfort, to this suffering, to this comfort. In the Recovery Dharma perspective, one of those conditions is called craving. Perfect example. Yesterday, I went to a store, I'm not going to name it, and it was such an unpleasant experience. Oh my. I had to go get something from one of my kids. I had to get one of those, some of those little pimple patches that are these little medicated, clear little patches that kids can put on their skin. Sometimes they're star shaped, sometimes they're colored, whatever. Anyway, so I had to go to this cosmetic area in this store, and this whole area is locked down. Everything is behind some kind of lock and keys. That means I have to call a salesperson over to unlock the cabinet to retrieve the $7 item that I'm looking for. So the salesperson that was on duty that day treated one customer at a time, which was fine on one level. But here was the scenario. So I'm standing near the lockdown cabinet where I need my item. This person, the salesperson, goes to one customer and says, "What do you need?" She unlocks wherever it is in this section, the one thing that this customer needs. She unlocks it, she retrieves it. Now the customer has to pay for it in line. She does this one person, one transaction at a time. And it took so much time. Oh my God. I was so annoyed. So I'm standing there and I'm like, wow, look at this. I could feel all the agitation rising in me. Like, how hard would it have been for this person to unlock every customer's item and had us all waiting in line, and we'd all be at the cashier, boom, 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 checkout, all good. But no, it's one transaction at a time. By the way, I saw this happen 6 times. So stupid, so annoying. I couldn't believe I got so uncomfortable, and I did. I was moving a shopping cart, and I was just squeezing it. So annoyed. Would you look at that? Fascinating. I'm annoyed. So what's the first thought I had? Ooh, by the checkout stand, they have Krispy Kreme donuts. Ah, craving. There it is. It's such a dumb example, right? It's such a human, silly thing that happened to me, and yet I got completely swept into it. Irritation, discomfort, cravings, the answer. Got my pimple patches, paid for them, went about, did the rest of my shopping. Mind you, however, I was so annoyed that I did forget two of the key things that I needed, and I didn't remember till I got all the way back to my farm. Another little bit of annoyance. And for any inquiry minds, did she buy the Krispy Kremes? No, I didn't. Bravo me. I didn't. I saw the craving. I knew it was not the answer to my discomfort. I knew it would not be the sustainable answer to my discomfort. I knew the sustainable answer to my discomfort was to simply allow my discomfort to have some space, to be. I didn't have to flame the fires of my discomfort. I wanted to. So in me, I'm standing in line, or I'm waiting patiently, and all I wanted to do was school the salesperson on how to be more efficient. Imagine a bellows flaming that fire. Because I wouldn't have been skillful in my speech, my tone would have carried the annoyance I was feeling. I would have been sharp. I probably would have been judgmental. I would not have been helpful in the situation. So rather than add fuel to these flames of discomfort, I put the bellows down and I just sat with it, stood with it, squeezed the handlebar of my cart, grit my teeth, breathed. I just sat with it. I was present to it. Oh, I passed those Krispy Kremes. Julia, psst, we'd be so good. I know you would, Krispy Kreme, but not today. I'm going to give this ridiculous example of discomfort some space. Because this kind of discomfort happens, I don't know how many times a day. Sometimes many, sometimes a few. The practice is being with it every single time. And when the craving arises as a condition, I get to have agency over that too. Now, the second noble truth, there are causes and conditions. Not only is there craving, there's also something deeper. So let's go underneath the arising that came to me as an answer to my discomfort, or as a non-answer to my discomfort. What was happening? Why was I so annoyed? So that's the question, Julia. Why are you so annoyed? What's the deal here? You're just standing here. You're just waiting your turn. Why is this hard? This is not demanding of anything physical. This is not demanding of anything intellectual. This is not demanding really in any way. So what's the deal? And that's how we get to understanding the second noble truth. There are causes and conditions. Can we be curious about what might be going on? For me, in that moment, I don't actually know. I don't know why I was annoyed. If I had to guess, I think it's because I didn't want to be there in the first place. I think I was annoyed by all the consumerism that this store embodies. I think I was missing my daughter for whom I was buying these pimple patches. And I think in that missing her, that longing to see her, because I'm not going to see her, I put them together in a care package for a friend of mine who was driving over to the west side to deliver that care package, my care package, to my daughter and her roommate, my friend's daughter. So I'm not going to see her, but my friend is. I miss her. All of this and more created the condition for that discomfort, that annoyance to arise. Am I a bad person that I was so annoyed? I have an inner critic that likes to go, yes, yeah, you are, Julia. You know better. You're a practitioner. You shouldn't get annoyed. And I just kind of lean over and kiss that inner critic because that's just silly. I'm a human being. I'm going to get annoyed. I'm going to get frustrated. I'm going to be uncomfortable. That's a truth. That's a noble truth. The question is, how am I going to be with that? Am I going to react and act unskillfully? Or can I be present to the discomfort and let it be as it is? All the while, my actions stay aligned with my integrity. There it is. I have discomfort. I know the conditions, or I at least am curious about the conditions. I recognize craving as a non-solution, and my actions remain connected to my aspirations and my integrity. It is as simple and as profound as that, friends. All of this happening in a store buying pimple patches. Who knew? And why I apply this practice to these ridiculous experiences in my life is because they help create a more solid foundation for the things that are really challenging to me. All of these little understandings that I gain, all of these little discomforts, these little annoyances, these pesky frustrations that I see, I acknowledge, I adapt to, I embrace, I befriend, I am present with, I understand. Every single one of them serves as a layer upon layer upon layer that I can stand upon and be secure upon when the really big stuff threatens to knock me down. Betrayal, rage, grief, loss, regret. These are some of the heavy hitters, friends, punctuating a human life. And we can't really stand strong before those big, big deals if we don't have a solid foundation. So every discomfort we experience, I experience, matters to the whole of me. And I think because you're like me and I'm like you, it's easy for me to assume that every discomfort you may encounter leads to a more solid base upon which you can stand and be present to the things that are really challenging. So, let's take a moment of silence and just allow space for any discomfort to arise in the comfort of this space. Allow a pesky little annoyance, an irritant, something grating, something annoying, something angering, something that's made you angry and frustrated. Allow it to arise. Allow it to be. There you are. Thich Nhat Hanh liked to say, hello, anger. And I'll tell you something. When I'm angry and I hear Thich Nhat Hanh's voice encourage me, Julia, just say, hello, anger. I'm like, ugh, gross. Sorry, teacher. That's not how I want to say hello to my anger. I'm like, oh, fuck, anger again. I get his teaching. I get the sentiment, but I don't always feel it. So be real with yourself. Be real. Let your discomfort be. Give it lots of space. And then get curious. Hey, what are you all about? Why are you coming forward? Am I trying to get rid of you? Am I wallowing in you? Am I trying to eat you away or exercise you away or doom scroll or drink or drug you away? Huh, would you look at that? And breathe, friends. Breathe this impeccable awareness. Friends, let's take a moment together as we take a step toward the conclusion of this reflection. And if you feel comfortable, maybe put your hand on your heart and maybe bow your head just a little bit. And we're bowing, we're taking this posture as a posture of reverence to ourselves. The littlest things often offer the most profound wisdom. Gather up these little lessons. Gather up the profound wisdom. Stand strong in the second noble truth. Who knew there would be wisdom to be found in waiting for pimple patches? Thank you, friends, so much for practicing with me. Namaste. Go ahead and end our practice today with a dedication of merit. Taking a deep breath in allowing a nice, gentle exhalation. You know, I like to I like to imagine the Buddha walking the middle way. And what I see as the middle way is the Buddha not walking along a dirt path straight down the middle like he's a bowling ball trying to get a strike. I often see the Buddha in my mind's eye dancing and zigzagging along the whole entirety of the path. I see him going forward and I see him zigzagging backward. I see him twirling. And I see on either edge of the path the representation of extremes. I'm either totally uncomfortable on one end, on one side of the extreme, on one side of the path, or I'm totally comfortable on the other side of the path. And the middle way recognizes both of those things, but there's a dance, there's a fluidity, there's a suppleness all the way in between. Be willing to go right to the edge of one side or the other and come back. Find your rhythm. Listen to your own inner wisdom. Dare to sing your own song. Bring this practice alive in you as only you can, which means find refuge in the wonder of your own wise mind and heart. There is limitless goodness there. Chant kindness. Open and soften to compassion. Be fearless in your expressions of joy and welcome all of it as an expression of freedom. This is how the Buddhist practice is alive in me, and I share it with you with great humility, presence, and love. We'll see you next time, maybe even on Sunday. Namaste.